got on 2 minutes early. I'm just saying.
Jeff, you're the host now.
This is good for the bloopers.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll do the summer catalog of just all the bloopers throughout the episodes.
I like we should be drinking wine, but it's way too early.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike. It's great to see you. Excited to do this with you today. Gosh, I was thinking about how long we've known each other. I think 15 years now.
Yeah. About right.
The two of us have kind of been doing this in Madera County for a long time, and I just want to know, how are you doing? How's everything going?
Hey, thanks, Tera. It is really good to see you. This is cool to have technology. Just think, if this terrible thing that we're all enduring right now would have happened 10 or, when we started, we would not be able to do schools like we're all having to do schools today. So that's definitely a cool thing that we're able to still reach out. So yeah, living the life, the shelter in place life. Things at school are going reasonably well, and my family is healthy and safe, and navigating this new temporary reality we're in, and looking at the enjoying some of the high sides that we all probably notice, that we get more time with our family, and we're not running around everywhere, and our monthly gas budget's gone way down, and so yeah, things are good. How are you?
Good. Grocery budget has gone up, though, I would say.
Yes. Yeah, groceries went up, but eating out budget went down. I just sort of moved them over in my budget spreadsheet.
I lost 12 pounds not eating out.
Wow.
I know.
Congratulations.
What's crazy is it makes me realize how much I eat out and grab stuff on the road, or my husband says stress eat. Like, I don't eat all day because I'm busy, and then I come home and I just eat, till I go to bed. So definitely some life changes. We're doing really good. Everyone's, really been blessed about how well Madera County's doing. Some of the things that the sheriff and the health department have in place to track and find for COVID. I'm grateful for that. I live on the cusp of Madera and Fresno, and Fresno's actually closer, but we are doing all our shopping in Madera because it seems like healthier and safer, and also supporting our community locally is super important to us and our values. So we've been doing that. Yes, bandwidth is an issue. I will say in our house that all three of us right now are Zoom meeting, and so that's always a struggle.
Right.
Jason's teaching, Sophie's in a class, I'm on this, and so we're working on that, but it's good. How many people are living in your home right now, Mike? I'm always curious about that and amazed.
Yeah. Well, so two of my twin sons, who are 20, just both moved out. One to an apartment in Fresno. He's in law school and working in a law firm there. And so he moved out about a month ago. And then my other son, his twin brother, moved out about 2 weeks ago to a home that's up here. And he is getting married in May. And so he moved into his first place that he's going to bring his new bride home to here in a couple weeks. So that means we're down to, we're 8 in our 2,100 square foot little home. So still plenty, but it seems roomier now, though.
The boys took up a lot of space.
They took up a lot of oxygen, that's for sure, and so yeah, and groceries. So yeah, that's good, and yeah, and now a fiance of one of my daughters is coming to visit, so we'll be back up to 9 here for a few days. But yeah.
Your wife, I've never met her, but she is a very impressive woman. Not only just putting up with you, but homeschooling 8 children.
Yeah, she is something else. Her name's Martine. She is fantastic. She is the keeper of the vision, and she just gets it done every single day without ever looking back. I mean, she is just so on task about what she's doing with our family and educating our our children these many, many years. My oldest is 23. So she's been at this since like 2000. And my youngest is 7. So she's got a ways to go still. And she just crazy. She's totally on it.
So tell me what made you guys choose homeschooling as an option for your family? And then why did you get and start Mountain Home Charter? Tell us about that.
Yeah, thanks. So, homeschooling's been sort of a movement, a phenomenon in our country for, I don't know, what is it? Maybe 30, 40 years now, probably. And so my wife and I have been doing this for about 20. So we're way not the first generation of this. We're second or third, maybe generation of homeschooling. And we had some friends as we were dating and getting to know each other. And we had some friends who were doing it. And we were young and impressionable. And we were both training to be teachers. We were both in college at the time, both going to be either in or going through our teacher credentialing programs. So we were very all about education and child rearing and what that was going to mean. But we saw good examples in our friends who were homeschooling, a number of them. And we became persuaded that for us, this was something that we were going to want to commit to. And so we did. And my first child was born in 96. And again, we started homeschooling about 2000. But we knew we wanted to do that. We liked what we saw in families being able to work together, like what everybody else is discovering now. Like everywhere, everybody gets to discover some of both the highs and the lows of homeschooling right now. But the value of having families work together and parents be able to be there in all those learning moments that children have over the years, and that meant a lot to us. And wanting to be able to speak into our kids' lives and keep a close connection. Those are some of what every parent wants. Those things, and those are some things that homeschooling sort of maximizes. And so that's why we did it. And when we were in Southern California in San Diego, and I was playing in the snow with my young family way long time ago, still living in Southern California, up in Yosemite, playing in the snow. And we saw in an Oakhurst local paper a job opening for a school principal job up here. And I applied and ended up with the job. So we moved up here. And Mountain Home was already in existence. It had been around for about 5 years already when we moved here. And it is a charter that works with homeschooling families. And so I didn't create Mountain Home. That was somebody else's vision, but it was already happening. And so the superintendent who I worked for at that time, when the position came open here, he thought, Mike, seems like it suits you. So he happily moved me over here to Mountain Home. That was like 2001, I think.
Was that the time that you guys broke off? Because you originally were dependent charter, and then now you're an independent charter. Is that when you guys broke off, or was it a few years after that?
That was later, like 2008. When I came here, this Mountain Home was already happening as a K-8 school, and there was a lot of interest for a high school component so that those kids could go on. And so I worked with a number of families when I came here to get the Glacier High School charter written and approved. And that was in a different district from where Mountain Home was. And so then we went along as Mountain Home and Glacier for a number of years in 2 different districts. And then 2008, we created the nonprofit Western Sierra Charter Schools and rechartered Mountain Home with the same district that Glacier was with. And those kind of came to one place. 2008.
Let's transition. I had called you probably earlier this week or last week, time blends together, talking about engaging parents. For my school, we've been seat-based since its inception in 2013. And I've really had to talk to my teachers about switching the lens into this distance learning. But also, for example, when we were talking about your wife, when you make the decision to homeschool, it's very different, in my opinion, than what we're doing now. You actively think about it as a family. You prep you prepare yourself to get into a homeschool when you're joining Mountain Home. It's a commitment, and this has kind of been thrown on to our parents. It's more like crisis schooling, but I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about how you guys naturally engage parents, because it's something that we need to find a way to do better, because there's a lot of fear that parents feel like they're letting their kids down and they don't know enough, and all of that, which I know, and that's not true. They know way more than they think, and they can guide their children better. But fear takes over you. And so how do you guys, before COVID, but maybe even now, are you doing anything? How do you engage parents? How do you help them get over that fear when they're feeling like they might be letting their kid down? What are some strategies you use to engage parents?
Yeah, so just very briefly, I appreciate that question, and that we feel like is what our main business is. You're touching on what we feel like as a school in regards to our vision and model. You're like hitting on the real meat and potatoes of what we are about and why we do what we do. But just in response to COVID, very quickly, I feel it was a double whammy, the shutdown, because it threw on parents who were not prepared to be able to be home. This was not what their life was. They loved their children, but their children were at school and they were able to be doing whatever else it is, maybe both working very often, right? And so now to be in a situation where somebody's got to be there, that's, so whammy on the parents to like, okay, now you got to do this. And also whammy on the schools, because we have, the vast majority of schools run their programs based on children being there live with them, and to have that ripped out from under them, that's what a huge thing to bite off and have to deal with. And for us, happily, our model has always been, parents are like integral. We call one of the things we call what we do parent-led education. So as a vision, we for the school, why our existential purpose is that parents are to be the lead educators, and we come along and support them. And so for us, for a student to be enrolled here, the parents have to have already sort of done the geometry in their own head about how they're going to fit this into their life, which usually means that one of them stays home. And if not one of the parents, then there's, a significant good close friend or a grandparent, another relative who's able to be there, to be hands-on, supervisory with the students. To your question, as we engage kids normally, not kind of COVID aside, what we tell parents is if you have a desire to be able to get your hands on this educational process with your own children, you want to be a meaningful part of that. If you have that desire, you don't have to have all of the knowledge. That's what we help you with. We bring you along, and we see that not only are kids the students being progressively educated and learning, but so are the parents, and so is our program and how we do what we do. And so parents come to us, and we talk a lot about scaffolding our instruction and differentiated instruction. Well, we do the same thing with parents. Those who are brand new to us and have a lot of motivation and not a lot of experience, we are giving them a whole lot of direct instruction, a whole lot of direct advice. We're doing it a lot more for them as the professional staff working with them, the teachers that work alongside them. As those parents become more skilled and capable and knowledgeable of how they're going to work with their student, what this whole thing's about, and they have their own ideas, we begin to back off and allow them to begin to make a lot of those instructional decisions. And so we obviously have a whole sort of formalized process of how we do that, but really trying to work with, one of the things we call what we do is personalized learning, really trying to personalize what we do, not only with our students, but with our parents. Another piece is that people think of homeschooling as very isolated, and probably for a whole bunch of people right now, it is very isolated in the COVID environment. But normally homeschooling isn't so isolated. People are involved with their communities, they're moving around, they're sharing various classes together. And so when parents come here, they come into Mountain Home or Glacier, or now Endeavor in Fresno, they come into a community of other families that are doing this. And that's like one of the things we offer that we don't really officially offer. It's just because we have a community there. And the parents love the connectivity with each other. Walk alongside parents that have been doing this longer and have more knowledge and more experience, and to walk along the new ones who are totally just scared and trying to figure this out, but they're committed. To have that whole range is just really a dynamic, cool parent community. And they work with each other, they know each other, they meet outside of school things, they become friends. And then, of course, their kids, their students also come into a community of kids who are, in a similar situation.
Everyone's talking about in the circles that I work with and stuff is grading. And I kind of laugh because I'm in elementary and I'm not in high school. So let's stay in my elementary lane. I always joke that nobody has ever asked me for my elementary cum file on a job interview. Does this really matter about grading? We want to know for checking for understanding. But my parents grade kids' work at Mountain Home, not teachers. How do you talk to parents about that? Do you tell them anything about, because also one of the things is I've noticed that parents just want to make sure kids get the answer right so they can turn it in, but learning is failing. And so a safe place to fail. How do you guys walk through parents on those? What are you doing for grading? And then what about some of the discovery process in learning for kids? Or does grading even matter at Mountain Home?
So absolutely. I wouldn't call it grading. We don't do A, B's, and C's for our elementary program. We do exceeds, meets, needs improvement with more narrative. And so, but absolutely, learning requires a feedback loop, constant feedback loop. And in schools, what we consider, typically think of the report card, that's just part of the feedback loop, right? I really don't think that the best use of grade reporting is that once a semester or 4 times a year, whatever it is, sort of summative evaluation that labels you this or that. I think, but the feedback loop progress is super, super important, and it comes in many, many ways, right? We really try to break it down per conversation, per assignment, per learning experience. So when parents, and also, by the way, we would have students in Mountain Home who are potentially in an online program, potentially, one class is online, maybe another 2 classes that they're taking that are taught by us here in a live classroom, and then maybe a couple classes that the parents actually doing independent study. So the only work that the parents actually grading is the thing that they're doing. Like if they're right, and what we're hopefully we always encourage parents, like, who's the best evaluator of adult work? Like is us, right? I need to become my own best evaluator of my progress, and certainly I need input into that. But if I'm not able to evaluate my progress, then I'm in trouble. And we want children to begin to take the leadership and the responsibility and the maturity to evaluate how they're learning, and that's really what we care. So we want the kids, I say all that, we want the students involved in the process as well. And so they work with teachers. In our program, the parents work very closely with an advising teacher through the whole year on all the various subjects. They keep connectivity with one another in our formal process. So the teachers are always working with the parents on helping them have perspective and balance in how they're evaluating their students' work. And the parents share the work of the students with us. That's part of the necessity. And so teachers have a very good idea, like, oh, this parent's glossing stuff. We need to help them shore that up and look closer and take this all more seriously. I'm sorry?
It's done in the parents' handwriting?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. Right. But, equally as often as those who maybe are shining it on a little bit too much and just kind of running forward are those that they have no sense of perspective on what their level of elementary child could or should be doing in an area, and they're hard, like if they had a picture like a classroom teacher gets of sort of the curve, seeing all kids, that's an advantage, right? They can see how all the rest of the kids are doing. It's an advantage, and so we try to help bring that to parents as well. Like your child is, progressing along wherever they are, and bring some perspective to that. We do a lot of internal assessing, both informal and formal assessments. So we really feel like we have a lot of data coming in for our students, and that's always being shared with parents that helps them keep their equilibrium and grow as and mature as good educator evaluators of their own children, and bringing their kids into that whole conversation, that self-reflection about their own work is super, super important.
For those people who don't know, Madera County up north where you live is right at the heart at the gate of Yosemite and one of the best places. But so we're going to hit that. But first, which do you prefer, the forks or doozies?
Oh, yeah. Wow. That could start fights up here.
It could.
That could. Wow. Yeah.
I know what I like.
Okay. What do you
I
like?
like forks for breakfast and doozies for lunch and dinner because I want the lake view.
Yeah, that's nice. So for us, we're kind of a hamburger family,
Okay.
and so we like Forks Burger. That's the Forks you're talking about, right?
Of course.
That's classic, and they have that nice patio out there now, and so
Bring your dog.
absolutely, and it's only open part of the year, so it always feels sort of special when it's open. So yeah, we're Forks Burger fans for sure. I think that would be I think that's true.
I love the bar and grill at Ducey's for the patio. Like there's nothing like that to me on the.
Hey, thank you, Tara. Yeah, I want to hear from you and all of this stuff. I can't wait till it comes back around and we get to hear about you and Sherman Thomas and your STEM school and what's going on there.
Exciting stuff. So,
Yep.
but I don't need to be interviewed. That's for sure. I'd rather talk to everyone else.